The headlines of this hour on VTV News. Vietnam-China meeting of friendship activists and young generation. And Vietnam-HAU International Rice Festival 2023 opens. And in our world news, nations strike deal at COP28 to transition away from fossil fuels.
Broadcasting from Hanoi, the capital of Vietnam. VTV News starts right now.
Good morning, it is 8 a.m. local time and you're watching VTV News. I'm Nguyen with the top stories. General Secretary Nguyen and his spouse joined General Secretary and President of China Xi Jinping and his spouse at the Vietnam-China meeting of friendship activists and the young generation. The meeting took place in Hanoi on Wednesday and saw the participation of nearly 400 activists and young representatives who have made significant contributions to the friendly relations between Vietnam and China.
General Secretary Nguyen affirmed that in recent years, the relationship between the two countries has had many important, profound, and comprehensive developments in all fields. He expressed his delight when meeting young people of the two countries with the intention of following in the footsteps of previous generations, bringing vitality and a bright future to Vietnam-China relations.
On this occasion, I would like to reiterate the very profound and meaningful speech of General Secretary and President Xi Jinping at the 15th Vietnam-China Youth Friendship Exchange in April 2015, that is, relations between countries depend on the closeness of the people, and the closeness comes from the young generations. This is also the message and spirit of the meeting between me and General Secretary Xi Jinping and his spouse and attendees at today's event.
Based on the traditional friendship and achievements of the comprehensive strategic partnership in recent years, the two parties and countries have agreed to deepen and elevate the comprehensive strategic partnership and build a community of shared futures that carries strategic significance.
One of the most important directions of the Vietnam-China relations as affirmed in the joint declaration is to consolidate a stronger social foundation. The desires of the two peoples for friendship, peace, cooperation, and development are a source of great strength and a solid basis for the bright future of the two countries. I welcome and appreciate the positive and important contributions of the two peoples, in which scholars and young people play a pivotal role. I hope that they will continue to contribute to common efforts to develop strong, stable, sustainable, and effective Vietnam-China relations.
In his speech, General Secretary and President of China Xi Jinping expressed his delight of returning to Vietnam after 6 years.
Yesterday, General Secretary Nguyen and I jointly declared the building of a China-Vietnam community of shared futures that carries strategic significance, opening a new phase of developing relations between the two parties and the two countries. This is an important strategic decision that our two countries have made, revitalizing the development of socialism and realizing long-term stability of the two countries, in accordance with the common interests and common aspirations and desires of the two peoples.
General Secretary, President Xi Jinping mentioned the profound memories of traditional friendship of supporting each other and bringing practical benefits to the peoples.
The famous poem of President Ho Chi Minh, "The passionate love between Vietnam and China are both comrades and brothers," has been mentioned many times by General Secretary Nguyen and has become a strong memory during those arduous and glorious years. Most recently, General Secretary Nguyen visited the Friendship International Border Gate and planted a friendship tree at the border gate of the two countries. That shows his special regard for China-Vietnam relations.
General Secretary and President Xi Jinping hopes that young people will contribute to strengthening cooperation to the development of the two countries. He emphasized that scholars and the young generation are pioneers on the path of friendship between the two countries, pioneers for the progress of humanity, and contribute to the stable, long-term development of the Asia-Pacific region.
General Secretary of the Communist Party of Vietnam Central Committee Nguyen Phu, along with Vietnamese President Võ Văn Thưởng and their spouses, hosted a welcome banquet for General Secretary of the Communist Party of China Central Committee and Chinese President Xi Jinping and his spouse Nguyen on the evening of December 13th in Hanoi, the capital of Vietnam. The event was also attended by Vietnamese Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính, Chairman of the National Assembly Vương Đình Huệ, Politburo member and permanent member of the Communist Party of Vietnam Central Committee's Secretariat, as well as Trương Thị Mai, who serves as the head of the committee's Organization Commission, and other leaders. The state visit to Vietnam by Chinese General Secretary and President Xi Jinping took place on the occasion of the two countries celebrating the 15th anniversary of establishing a comprehensive strategic cooperative partnership. The relationship between the two parties and the two countries, Vietnam and China, is a valuable asset that was established by President Ho Chi Minh, Chairman Mao Zedong, and other leaders. This relationship needs to be continuously inherited and promoted. Both sides agreed to build a Vietnam-China community with a shared future, which holds strategic significance and is based on deepening the comprehensive strategic cooperative partnership between the two countries. This is done for the happiness of the two peoples and for the peace and progress of humanity. State President Võ Văn Thưởng held talks with General Secretary and President of China Xi Jinping in Hanoi on Wednesday. The Vietnamese leader believes that this visit to Vietnam by the Chinese top leader will bring relations between the two countries into a new stage of development, becoming better, more effective, and sustainable.
At the talks, State President Võ Văn Thưởng affirmed that Vietnam attaches great importance to relations with China and that developing relations with China is always a strategic choice and top priority in Vietnam's foreign policy. Meanwhile, Chinese General Secretary and President Xi Jinping said Vietnam holds a special position in China's neighborhood diplomacy policy. The two leaders affirmed the successful results of the talks between General Secretary Nguyen Phu and General Secretary President Xi Jinping. The Vietnamese state president proposed that the two sides strengthen people-to-people exchanges, organize cultural exchange activities, and increase communications about Vietnam-China friendship. Chinese General Secretary and President Xi Jinping called for further strategic connections between the two economies, effectively deploying a plan to connect the Belt and Road Initiative with the two corridors, One Belt framework, building a stable regional supply chain. The two leaders also exchanged opinions on maritime issues and agreed to work together to maintain peace and stability at sea, agreed to strengthen cooperation and coordination at multilateral forums.
Vietnam considers developing relations with China an objective requirement, a strategic choice, and a top priority in its foreign policy. Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính told Chinese Party General Secretary and President Xi Jinping in Hanoi on December 13th.
Meeting with the Chinese leader, Prime Minister Pham Minh Chinh noted that important agreements reached between the two party leaders during the visit of the Chinese Party chief and president, especially their commitment to building a Vietnam-China community of shared future that carries strategic significance, serve as an important orientation to bring bilateral relations to new heights. With more stable, healthy, and sustainable development, he proposed that China continue to expand imports of Vietnamese goods, including agricultural and aquatic products, further promote investment in Vietnam's key areas such as high technology, green transformation, and strategic infrastructure construction, completely resolve problems in a number of long-standing projects, and accelerate the implementation of non-refundable aid projects. According to the Prime Minister, the two sides should well control disagreements and properly handle maritime issues in the spirit of friendship, mutual respect, and in accordance with international law, including the 1982 United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, not letting the East Sea issue impact bilateral relations. The Chinese leader, for his part, concurred with Vietnamese Prime Minister's proposals and affirmed that both China and Vietnam are important partners of each other. He urged the two sides to accelerate strategic connectivity, effectively deploy cooperation plans within the framework of two corridors, One Belt and a Belt and Road Initiative, and ramp up practical cooperation in all fields, bringing practical benefits for the peoples of the two countries. The Chinese leader also proposed that the two sides strengthen coordination at multilateral forums in order to build a fair and open international order, strictly implement high-level agreements and common perceptions, adequately control and handle disagreements, and jointly maintain peace, stability, and cooperation in the region and the wider world.
Also on Wednesday, Vietnamese National Assembly Chairman Vương Đình Huệ met with the visiting General Secretary and President of China Xi Jinping in Hanoi.
National Assembly Chairman Vương Đình Huệ noted with pleasure achievements reached by Vietnamese General Secretary Nguyen Phu Trong and Chinese Party General Secretary and President Xi Jinping during their talks on Tuesday, especially their consensus on building a Vietnam-China community with a shared future that carries strategic significance. For his part, Party General Secretary and President Xi Jinping congratulated Vietnam on its reform achievements, and stressed that the two legislative bodies have maintained their all-level meetings and contacts, making their relationship an important part of the relations between the two parties and countries. National Assembly Chairman Vương Đình Huệ also suggested the two legislative bodies increase exchanges and contacts at all levels, as well as those between their specialized committees and friendship parliamentarians groups. The two sides should step up their coordination at both regional and international interparliamentary forums, while urging competent agencies of Vietnam and China to control and satisfactorily settle disagreements in line with international law, especially the 1982 United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, sharing the Vietnamese top legislators' proposals. The Chinese leader suggested the two countries maintain high-level exchanges and meetings, share experience in party building and national development, foster substantive cooperation, step up infrastructure connectivity, push ahead with people-to-people exchanges, and well-manage disagreements.
Within the framework of Chinese General Secretary and President Xi Jinping visit to Vietnam, Politburo member Trương Thị Mai, standing member of the Party Central Committee Secretariat and head of the Party Central Committee's Organization Commission, held talks with Phie, a member of the Politburo Standing Committee, Secretary of the Secretariat and Director of the Office of the Communist Party of China Central Committee in Hanoi on Tuesday. Both sides expressed their pleasure at the very good outcomes of the high-level talks between General Secretary Nguyen Phu Trong and Chinese General Secretary and President of China Xi Jinping. Politburo member Trương Thị Mai affirmed Vietnam considers developing relations with China a top priority and a strategic choice in its foreign policies of independence, self-reliance, diversification, and multilateralization, as well as its four-nose defense policy. The two sides agreed to bring into play the role of the party channel in the bilateral ties, enhance high-level contacts, and improve the efficiency of the cooperation mechanism through the party channel, and stress on the necessity to make efforts to control and handle disagreements at sea, respect each other's legitimate interests in accordance with international law, and the 1982 UN Convention on the Law of Sea, or UN Clause 1982. General Secretary of the Communist Party of China Central Committee and President of China Xi Jinping and the high-level delegation of the Chinese Party and State laid a wreath and paid tribute to President Ho Chi Minh at his mausoleum in Hanoi on December 13th morning. During their lifetime, President Ho Chi Minh and Chairman Mao Zedong and their predecessors were the ones who laid the foundation and worked hard to cultivate the traditional friendship relationship as both comrades and brothers of the two parties, two states, and people of Vietnam and China. Ms. Phan Thị Thanh Tâm, spouse of Vietnamese President Võ Văn Thưởng, and Professor Phan Nguyen, spouse of General Secretary of the Communist Party of China Central Committee and President of China Xi Jinping, on December 13th, engaged in an exchange program with students of the Vietnam National University. Students of the university's Chinese language faculty expressed their sentiments toward and understanding about China and the friendship between the two countries. They hope that through learning the Chinese language and culture, they will serve as a bridge for the friendship, contributing to enhancing the bilateral relationship. During their visit to the university, the two ladies also enjoyed cultural performances by the students. Professor Nguyen said that she is impressed by Vietnamese students' Chinese proficiency and praised them for being diligent and intelligent and for their good understanding of China. She also said that learning Chinese helps Vietnamese students understand more about the land, people, and culture of China. And Chinese students studying Vietnamese will also have the opportunity to learn more about Vietnamese culture. Chinese Party General Secretary and President Xi Jinping and his wife left Hanoi on December 13th afternoon, concluding a two-day state visit to Vietnam at the invitations of Party General Secretary Nguyen and State President Võ Văn Thưởng. The Chinese leader and his wife were seen off at Nội Bài International Airport by National Assembly Chairman Vương Đình Huệ and other senior party and state leaders of Vietnam. This is the third time General Secretary and President of China Xi Jinping has visited Vietnam, after his previous visits in 2015 and 2017. This is the first visit of the highest leader of the party and state of China to Vietnam after the 20th Congress of the Chinese Communist Party. The visit took place more than a year after the historic visit to China of Vietnamese Party General Secretary Nguyen. The two sides issued a joint statement on continuing to deepen and elevate their comprehensive strategic cooperative partnership and building the Vietnam-China community of shared future that carries strategic significance. Coming up next on VTV News. 12,000 ginseng trees given to poor household. And journey to find out precious paintings of the Nguyen dynasty. Welcome back to VTV News. On Wednesday morning, National Assembly Chairman Vương Đình Huệ presided over the 28th session of the National Assembly Standing Committee. The committee discussed 19 topics, which included reviewing the summary of the National Assembly's 6th session, initial preparations for the upcoming 7th session, and diplomacy programs for 2024. Additionally, the committee considered adding several law projects to the 2024 Law and Ordinance Development Program. These include amendments to the Law on Prevention and Combat of Human Trafficking, the Law on Teachers, the Law on Value-Added Tax, the Law on Chemicals, and the Law on Management and Use of Weapons, Explosives, and Support Tools. The session also covered discussions on financing and the budget, as well as a resolution on the organizational guidelines for the Q&A session of the National Assembly's Ethnic Council. In another meeting held on Wednesday morning, the National Assembly Standing Committee discussed and voted to pass a resolution on the establishment of Viet Yên Town in Bắc Giang Province and Hậu Hiền Town in Thiệu Hóa District, Thanh Hóa Province. The Vietnam-HAU International Rice Festival 2023, with the theme Centennial Journey of Vietnamese Rice, commenced in the province of Hậu Giang in the Mekong Delta on December 12. Taking place over 4 days, the festival coincided with Vietnam's aspirations to become a pioneering nation in high-quality, low-emission rice production, as well as in a green and sustainable development. During an online speech from Hanoi, Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính stated that 2023 is a year of both challenges and opportunities. Vietnam is the first country to initiate the 1 million hectare rice project, which aims to enhance the well-being of its people while while also demonstrating its commitment to addressing climate change and promoting low-emission agriculture on a large and global scale. Tumorong district in Kontum province organized the handover of Ngọc Linh ginseng trees to poor households in the area on Wednesday. The 12,000 Ngọc Linh ginseng trees were donated by Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính to 300 poor households in the district during a business trip to the area. The recipients are poor households living on land with soil conditions suitable for growing ginseng, but cannot plant or grow it due to the high price of seedlings. After a period of preparation, Tumorong district organized the handover and provided guidance for farmers growing one-year-old ginseng varieties. Along with that, the locality calls on businesses to accompany the government and to support and guide locals to develop and expand the Ngọc Linh ginseng growing area so that people can earn a higher income and escape poverty sustainably. The set of paintings of Grand Imperial costumes of Annam are considered a valuable artistic piece on costumes during the Nguyen dynasty, painted by a Vietnamese painter. The set of paintings were made in 1902 under the reign of King Thành Thái, but then was lost to many places around the world. No one expected that one day this set of paintings would return to Vietnam, but thanks to the efforts of a young researcher. More in the following.
The precious set of paintings was painted by an artist of Nguyen dynasty in December 1902. It includes 54 watercolor illustrations.
In terms of art, he has the highest level of portrayal. When I researched this work in depth, the mysteries surrounding him urged me to find out where this set of paintings is. After nearly 3 years of research, I almost give up because it was difficult to locate where this painting was.
The information was scattered and there was only a few clues, but he was determined to find the whereabouts of this precious set of paintings. He asked collectors, looked online, and went to many museums and galleries around the world.
In late 2020 and early 2021, I contacted representatives of the National Gallery of Singapore directly. She confirmed with me that the original set of paintings is in the Singapore Museum. I burst into happiness.
We always feel very enthusiastic when we're contacted by researchers from the Southeast Asian region who are interested to work with our collection. About the artist Nguyen Van Yang, we consider that this is an important piece of scholarly research about a little-known artist, and of course we really want to support this research.
The National Gallery of Singapore then allowed him to use the digital copy of this painting. The set of paintings was carefully researched, analyzed, annotated, and published into a book. So, after more than 120 years, the set of illustrations of Hue royal costumes in the early 20th century has returned to Vietnam.
Luckily we have found it again now. Thanks the researchers and authors of the book series for their painstaking efforts to rewrite and print it for today's young people.
I admire this young author because he spent 6 years of serious and meticulous research. I think that those who work in art related to cinema or fashion really need this valuable artwork.
Historical figures and valuable works of art need to be returned to their original locations. I contributed only a small effort to pass this on to future generations so that history does not disappear, especially cultural knowledge.
Coming up next in our world news. Nations strike deal at COP28 to transition away from fossil fuels. And more than $9 billion for humanitarian activities in 2024. Moving on to our world news. Representatives from nearly 200 countries agreed at the COP28 Climate Summit on Wednesday to begin reducing global consumption of fossil fuels to avert the worst of climate change. The deal struck in Dubai after 2 weeks of hard-fought negotiation was meant to send a powerful signal to investors and policymakers that the world is united in its desire to break with fossil fuels. something scientists say that it lasts best hope to stave off a climate catastrophe. COP28 President Sultan Al Jaber called the deal historic, but added that its true success would be in its implementation. The agreement specifically calls for a fair, orderly, and reasonable transition to fossil fuel use, thereby achieving net zero emissions by 2050. $9.3 billion is the amount of money the UNICEF calls on donors to contribute to humanitarian activities in the context of an alarming increase in the number of children in the world caught up in crisis, requiring urgent support from the international community. According to UNICEF data, about 94 million children in 155 countries worldwide are in difficult situations caused by regional conflicts and natural disasters. The financial support will help UNICEF implement measles vaccination programs for over 17 million children worldwide, support 7.6 million severely malnourished children, and over 19 million children that cannot access education. Japan will reduce taxes for businesses producing important items, including semiconductors, electric vehicle batteries, storage batteries, next-generation aviation fuels recycled from waste oil, green steel, and green chemicals, materials that can significantly reduce emissions causes the greenhouse effect. The new tax reduction measure will be implemented within 10 years from the enterprise's business plan is improved for implementation. The tax incentive level is 30% and applied until the enterprise's production activities are profitable. Tax incentives, investment support, and information control regulations are expected to enhance Japan's competitiveness in research and development while minimizing the risk of a data leak. Now, before we say goodbye, let's take a look at the weather forecast. And that is it for our morning news bulletin. To rewatch our program, you can download our mobile app VTVgo or check out our YouTube channel VTV4Go. Thank you for watching and see you next time.